Hey, dailies across the world, I'm so glad you could join for a special edition of the Driven Daily Show, a show that promises to keep you driven on a daily. My name is Randall, and today we have a special guest. Today's guest is dear to my heart for the fact that my guest is from the same community that I'm from, and he's currently really serving in a great capacity, being the ward councillor of Ward 56. Dailies, let's put our hands together and let's give him a driven daily welcome. And let's welcome none other than Cheslyn Steenberg. Come on, come on. Welcome, my brother. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Randall. I'm doing well. And thank you to your viewers as well across the world. Thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure. You know, we were just chatting a couple of seconds ago and you were just sending out an email. The life of a counselor. What is that like, Cheslyn? What is it like? Huh?
There's no rest. There's no rest. Time does not belong to you anymore. The 24 hours in a day, I think, is too little. But at the end of the day, it gives me great satisfaction, you know, when residents come back and say the problem has been sorted. So in and amongst not having much time, I find solace in knowing that people's problems are solved at the end of the day.
Sure. It really sounds like with a role like this, Cheslyn, your heart really has to be in this. Has this always been the case? Like, how did you're probably, and I stand under correction, Cheslyn, you're probably the youngest councillor I've ever seen. Which is a major I'm not sure if people always guess your age wrong or what is the case, but how did it start?
Actually, I am the youngest ward councillor in the city of Cape Town.
Listen, that deserves, if you in the chat right now, come on, let's just celebrate with him. Wonderful.
So it started out, my activism started out at school. Where I joined the RCL, the Representative Council of Learners, and then joined a program called the High Schools Program that the city of Cape Town had. It's basically a program where they mold young people and leaders and give them the necessary skill set, you know, to run their organizations and so on. And then I became part of our church council. I was the youngest deacon at the age of 18 in the Uniting Reformed Church, and then became part of the community police forum. I can mention a whole host of things I've done. Became chairperson of a youth organization called Frontiers Youth Serving Youth. Became part of an organization called the Youth Empowerment Program. So it has been a very, very, very interesting ride. To the day that I became councillor of the ward.
Yeah, man, oh man, so young. You could have decided to be anything else with your life, yet you decided, Cheslyn, to really dedicate it to serving the community. Now, I know you are a man of different facets. I do believe you are a Manchester United supporter. I just have to bring that in there.
Yes.
Has that always been the case, or is it just recently?
In fact, I'm thinking to switch over to Arsenal, because
the votes are going to be stripped away from you based on that.
I don't want to lose the support of the majority.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think to comment on your statement. I could have chosen any field. I could have gone rogue. And what I always take with me is that my family comes from gangsterism. They, in this particular city, they were counted as part of the high flyers. High flyers in the sense of procuring and distributing drugs, including weapons and ammunition, etc., etc. And the day that my last uncle died, I remember it was a Wednesday afternoon, and his guards came in and they said he has been shot. And, he now, who's going to take over, because he has been shot and he's dead, and here's his stuff, here's his money, here's his clothes. We don't know what to do with it.
Hmm.
And immediately I was pointed at to take over. And I said to myself in that moment, not me.
Sure.
I am choosing life. And when I chose life, Randall, um, it was the best choice I could have ever make in my entire life.
Really.
Because I can assure you, if I chose the other road, I would have constantly had to look over my shoulders, constantly have to dodge bullets, constantly having um to flee. You can't stay here for too long, and then you must flee. My
Yeah.
family would not have been safe. You know, I
Hmm.
can go on and on, but I chose life. And
Yeah.
so when you ask the question, why did you become a counselor, is because I chose life. It is
Wow.
because there is hundreds and thousands of young people in this city, in my ward, that is also facing that path of, do I choose life
Hmm.
or do I choose the other? And I'm not going to say the other is death,
Hmm.
because I could always end up in death. And so I don't want to be the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
angel of death and just pronounce death. But do we choose? Um, do you choose the other side? Do you choose to now, be a stroller? Do you choose to now become part of the statistics of society?
Hmm.
And that is where I'm at. And and therefore I can even go further and tell you the house that I'm currently living in. Um, I opted to buy this house because if you look at the history of this house, this was the nerve center of that operations. You know, my dining room table, if I show you now, that same dining room table
Uh-oh.
um, was the dining room table where they counted their money, where
Mhm.
they cleaned guns, where they
Sure.
counted up the heroin and the drugs and all of that. But today,
Come
Randall,
on.
because it was life, today,
Mhm.
that table, this house, is a beacon of hope. It's a
Wow.
beacon of hope for people who needs help in all aspects. When I say help, I mean help in all aspects. Every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, for the last COVID has hit us 2021. Yeah, for the last 3 years, I've been handing out food parcels to those who need it. So that is but one. You know,
Sure.
um, it is this house that has now become a beacon of hope for people. When they need food, they know they need to come here on a Tuesday. They would get their bag of groceries, um, and they would be able to go cook a meal for their family for the next week. It is this house where where people need service delivery.
Hmm.
The electricity has gone out. They need um, our senior citizens needs a last will and testament. It's a whole host of things.
Mhm.
So I've opted to choose life.
Sure.
And the state that I'm in, I said to myself and I said to the Lord, I said, I'm not going to run away from my beginnings.
Hmm.
And this is where I'm at. And so you will probably have to bury me from this house. But
Hey.
I said I'm not leaving this house, because this house was, it was a space of great trouble to some families, because over a weekend, the husband would be at this house buying drugs from this house.
Hmm.
And that was about 15 years ago. But now, when you talk about this address, you are now speaking about, go to that house. You will get help there.
Wow.
So I chose not to run.
Sure. Cheslyn, thanks so much for sharing that story. I didn't know this was going to come out so early in the interview. Just so amazing to know that that same house that was used for quote unquote evil is now turned around to be a beacon of hope for the
Yeah.
community. Cheslyn, it really begs the question, how are you? Let's just start off with this. How are you doing? Like as a human being, besides being a politician now, besides being the man that you are, like how are you doing as a human right now? Are you overwhelmed? Are you okay? What's going through on the inside with you right now?
So your international listeners might probably not know this word, but I'm gonna say I'm alright. I'm okay. I'm cool. Because with everything happening, it is a bit overwhelming, extremely overwhelming. Life happens,
Yeah.
when you open up yourself to serve people, you are also opening up your spirit. You are
Hmm.
opening up your soul. You are opening up your being. And that can become tired. It can become
Yeah.
tiring on a lot of levels, emotionally,
Hmm.
mentally, spiritually, even physically. Last week, for example, I was ill for an entire week after my block meeting I had in Kensington,
Ish.
where I engaged residents, and immediately after that, I just became ill, sick to my bone, you
Really?
know, um, but God, but
Hmm.
God. So I'm doing okay.
No,
I'm
that's
doing
good.
well. I'm not in the most perfect of spaces emotionally, because like I said, having to carry the burdens of others. But
Yeah.
again, it's a choice that I made, and it's a choice I will make every day, because these people are looking at me for help, and I need to be the strong one. But luckily for me, my support circle, my network is strong, and
Awesome.
I'm able to bounce back. I'm able to find the solace there. I'm able to find that comfort there, you know, the
Yeah.
entering into a space and say nothing, and just say my day was a bit rough. And I'm caught, I'm able to be caught into a net to say, "Ah, it'll be okay."
Sure.
So that is where I'm at. I'm alright.
That's good to hear. I'm glad that you've got that support structure, at Cheslyn. And I know as even being on this side, even though you have a support structure, sometimes you can be surrounded by 100 people but still feel alone. And I'm glad that you are in a space where you don't feel alone. It may be overwhelming, but hey, that comes with the territory. But I'm glad you've got that structure behind you. Speaking about structure, um, Cheslyn, and just before we get there, just a big shout out to all those that's joining us right now. Thank you for giving your heartbeat and spending your time with myself and Cheslyn. Speaking about structure, Cheslyn, regarding your role in the grand scheme of things, let's pretend there are viewers right now that doesn't have a clue about South African politics. What is your role in the grand scheme of things? So, of course, we know we've got our president, and then we've got the different. Do you mind just breaking it down for us, just on a high level?
So you have the president, which is serving on national. Then you have on a provincial level, you have your premier. And then on a local level, you have the mayor. And on community level, you have me.
Come on.
So
Okay.
I am the first, in your world, you would call it first line respondents. So if anything happens, the police, fire brigade, your fire services, your ambulance, your SAPs, they would be your first line response. So I'm that in terms of local government. I
Okay.
am your um, first line access to the broader municipality in terms of service delivery, in terms of um, and this is something that I find very amusing at times,
Mhm.
that residents call me for an ambulance. They would call me for fire brigade. They would call me for the police. So
I
in hindsight, I'm thinking, by the time you call me, the person is dead, because
Hey,
you must make a call to me to inform me, and then I ask 1,000 questions. The person could have died, the house could have burned down. But then I realize they are calling me because they know that I will answer my phone. They know that they will,
ah,
something will happen. So
yeah,
I don't become irritated when they call. Even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, even if it's three
sure.
o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't become irritated, because I understand that I created this. I've created this space when I chose a life, Randall. I created this. And I'm not going to say it was a stick that I drew for myself, because it was not. When I chose a life, I said to the Lord, I'm going to help
Yeah.
where and how much I can until I can't no more. And
Sure.
so you can't place yourself in a position of serving, and then when it becomes too overwhelming, you want to explode.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying you should not explode. I'm saying explode with that, in that safety net of your friends and your loved ones, but not on those that you are serving. You
Sure.
know, it's sometimes good to breathe. It's sometimes good to just shout, but not at the people
Mhm.
depends on you. And that for me, I think is where I find myself in terms of service delivery. Uh,
Okay.
as a politician, I, Randall, I don't regard myself as a politician. People would say, but you are. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Ye-
so if you had to really give a label as to what you are, what would you say?
I would say that I am a servant. I'm
Ah.
not even go as far to say I am a shepherd, because that
Mm.
is taking it away, totally taking up the ante. I would say I'm a servant. A
Wow.
servant simply because people come to me with all all sorts of things. You would be amazed at the type of things I have to deal with. Kids not being in school. Um, Today, I think yesterday, a father sent me a message to say his daughters is not listening. Can I please get in the social worker?
Sure.
So I'm dealing with a whole host of things. And even though it's beyond, I'm going to call it beyond my pay grade, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it because
Really, eh?
3 months from now, I get a call to say, Counselor, uh, we got it right. Or
Mm.
Counselor, we are in our home. Or Counselor, uh, the child that's been accepted at university, or counselor, I now have my learner license, or I have my driver's license, or
Wow.
I've matriculated, So that is the joy I get, and not necessarily the the perks that comes with it. The perks in the sense of, uh, oh, he is a counselor. Oh,
Yeah.
you are the guy.
Yeah.
It's
Wow. It sounds, just listening to you speak, it sounds overwhelming, Cheslyn, with all the demands. They say you are the fireman. You need to come with your hose pipe and spray the fire down. Speaking about victories, Ches, what was, just thinking about it, I know there's probably so much, but just thinking about it right now, what's one victory that you've experienced that just warms your heart every time you think of it? Whether it was a challenge was there a challenge that you overcame that just comes to mind that just warms your heart whenever you think about it?
I can actually mention two things, and most recently is yesterday. You would know in 18th Avenue there's this informal settlement called the 18th Avenue Informal Settlements on the outskirts of Factorton,
Yes.
adjacent to the Wingfield military base.
Yes.
And they don't have toilets for the last 25 years. There's no pollution facilities. There's no running water in their homes. There's two taps on the periphery that people have to walk towards. If there's a fire, it becomes a whole nightmare. There's no electricity. There's no solid waste services. And
Hmm.
yesterday, after me fighting for a very, very long time, remember, I'm only the ward councillor for a year now. I've been elected on the 8th of February 2023.
Wow.
About a year and 3 months, I'm the councillor. Yesterday, officials came out and said, we are going to give you a temporary um, pollution facility whilst we look at permanent funding measures and other alternatives that we can use. So that for me was a
Wow.
real victory, because Randall, you have, in fact, you still have people, um, they have to bury their waste. This particular community that I'm referring to, they have to bury their human waste. They
Sure.
have to make holes in the ground, and they have to dispose of it in that manner. Today, I met with the leadership of that informal settlement, and I said, "Look, this is the plan. We need to take it to the people and consult them on the matter and feel the pulse and just get the input from them. Are they okay with the temporary measure that will be put in place whilst we source other means of funding?" So that for me was really a winner, because now during winter now they don't have to leave the comfort of their home and
Mhm.
go make a hole in the ground to relieve themselves. So that for me was, and I
Wonderful.
need to be honest with you, it is not the best, it is not the ideal um situation, but at least we are starting somewhere, somehow we are able to give these people a temporary alternative, but also a dignified alternative, and not the alternative where they have to sit in an open field and relieve themselves. That for me, I I had sleepless nights about that. So I'm happy about that
Major
small
salute
victory.
to a major salute to just everyone working around you, but also yourself being one of the pioneers to initiate that. So salute to you, Ches, for that. And although that's in the chat, let's just flood this with applause and some love right here, because this deserves acknowledgement. So salute to you. I know you said there was one more.
The other one was our young people not being able to obtain good paying jobs because they either don't have their driver's license or they don't have matric. So what I've done was I started the learner license program, paid for by myself, and of course I roped in another lady in the area, chairperson of the CPF, Jamila Baker, fantastic woman, heart of gold. I roped her in, and I said to her, "Look, we have a lot of young people, we have adolescents, we have a bit older individuals that cannot find employment because, they don't have their drivers." So we started out with their learner license program. We take them through the 3-day course, and then they need to go and book their own tests at the traffic department. And God willing, they obtain the learner license, and from there they are able to make a booking for their driver's license, and then God willing, obtain that, and then of course get a job. But even if you don't have your driver's license, they can at least apply with a learner license. So you at least have something that you can put on the table to a potential employer and say, "I don't have my drivers, but I have my learners." And some employers that we spoke to, they said, if they can come with their learners, we as a company will pay for their driver's license and more. So another
Amazing.
victory that
Yeah.
we are proud of, because now we have individuals that can now put food on the table instead of having to either get involved in crime or even participate in selling drugs or even having to be mules or even having to stand on street corners and rob innocent people from their items to make a living and put food on the table. And of course, this will be an ongoing program. It will not, change lives overnight, but at least we are working towards, that life-changing moments.
Hmm. You know, it really makes me proud. The question that just comes to my mind now for you, Cheslyn, is like, how long is your term? When is this ending in terms of your term? Is there a specific date?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a specific date per se, but there is a term, a month. So, ward councillors serve 5-year terms, and I, I was, I'm basically serving out the term of the former council.
Okay.
So, the next election will be 2026. So 2 years basically from now.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. And in that 2 years, if if the result has been thus far, there's been so much progress. I look forward to seeing what's ahead. I remember going to Factoryton when I was there in January, and I was driving with my dad, and we're driving down Sunderland Street, and Cheslin. Man, seeing those, it looked like Miami. And I posted a video on Facebook with the palm trees that grew so high. Man, that just, and the sunset. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about, right?
Yes, 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 definitely. Beautiful.
Man, it's beautiful.
International. Yes.
Yeah. We spoke about some of the victories. I personally want to know, Cheslyn, of course, with this occupation comes a lot of quote unquote haters, a lot of people that feels like more can be done, feels like you or other politicians is not doing, or servants is not doing enough. Um, I'm sure you get that. How do you process that side of things, Ches? Because I can only imagine that can really be something heavy on one's mind. How do you process that side of things, Ches?
I know my value.
Mm.
And if I did not understand and know my value, then whatever people would say and do, whether it is in a public meeting or on an email or on social media or wherever, I would have crumbled. But
Mm.
because I understand my purpose and I know my value, I don't allow the negativity to give me sleepless nights.
Mm.
Ever. People ask, do I even have a heart? Oh, definitely. And because I have a heart, I'm guarding. I guard my heart against this. And so haters must be, they make us stronger. They keep us, on our toes. But I don't allow any negativity to to get me down simply because I understand the mission.
Mm.
I know my purpose. I understand that if I am not going to be on top of things, I'm going to drop the ball, meaning I'm going to have to lay down thousands of people. And
Yeah.
so, yes, I would vent at my inner circle and at my what I call my net, but I will never let any negativity
Hmm.
get a bit of me, really. Never.
That's wonderful to hear. It's tough. For many, it's tough, Cheslin, to have that thick skin. Um, and for some, it just takes one comment to make them crumble. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad it's almost like you were built for this. Um, but all we can do on our side is keep you in prayer. And Cheslin, speaking about what we can do on our side, if we want to become an extension of, if we want to assist you, because we know you can't do everything, and we want to become an extension of you as citizens and as fellow community members, specifically when it comes to certain issues. For example, um, in the community, how can we become an extension of your vision, Cheslin?
Currently, what I have in place is our community WhatsApp groups. And I'm saying there, if someone needs help and you are tech savvy, because in the city of Cape Town we have what we call our service request. It's called C3, the letter C and the number 3. So if you need a service uh, to be attended to, a burst pipe, outage of electricity, whatever the case may be, there's a group of people that says, I'm tech savvy and I can help you. Because previously I would have been that person that would take the detail and log a call. But now I have an army of people that says, okay, I've seen it, I've logged the call. Councillor, here is the reference number for you to escalate to the relevant line department to have the matter attended to much quicker
Hmm.
than the service level agreement time. So it really becomes a caring space where as a resident, you are able to access that particular group and ask for help, and someone will help you. So that is one of the means, without having, to expect a certificate or a medal or the counselor to praise you at the year-end function or anything like that. It is simply people, what I call being active citizens, and
Okay.
not, just
Passive, yeah.
social media. People sitting on social media and wanting to criticize the whole day. Oh, you don't do this. Oh, where's the counselor? Oh, this. Oh. So I'm saying, how can we jointly? Because all the
Yeah.
successes we are experiencing in the ward is not um, it cannot be attributed to myself as the ward counselor. I'm simply facilitating and leading the progress in the ward. But as the people together, we are making the progress possible.
Yes.
We are saying, counselor, there's a light out on the corners of Sunderland and Vliegtuig. Counselor, there's a pothole on the corners of 16th Avenue and Factorton Avenue. So if we don't identify the problems together, then it's not going to work. So
Hmm.
to be very frank with you, to become an extension of the office of the ward counselor, become a servant. Become a
Mm.
servant. Become a servant. If you hear something, read something, act on it, and then we take it from there.
Wonderful. So that is C3, and is it a matter of? And I just want to acknowledge this. Firstly, the C3 program, is it a matter of them going on WhatsApp, and how do they get connected to that program or that group?
So what happens is, the city of Cape Town has their website. You can go on there. You can type in C3 or request a service, or log a form. There's a whole host of type of search references. You would go in there, log it. It's easy. It's 1 2 3. You have your reference number. So it's a very easy and user friendly tool. But we understand that not everyone has access, to a smartphone. Not everyone has even would understand how to even use or maneuver a website. So that is why I really appreciate my team and the broader community that jumps in and help where they are able to.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you on that. And thanks for giving us that resource. We've got around 20 more minutes left. The time really flew. We just want to take the time out to thank you for spending your time and giving us your heartbeat, spending it with myself and Cheslyn. We still got a couple of more moments left, and I still want to ask him about the Cookie Monster situation. So stick around for that. Speaking about Cookie Monster, waar het die gekomen? How did that develop?
So yeah, you probably stalked my Facebook
Yes.
because that's on there.
Mhm.
The Cookie Monster, it comes down. I love cake. I love cake. My better half loves cake as well, but
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite cake?
I love cheesecake and carrot cake.
Mm.
The cookies, the reference to the cookies, is at moments of, when I say I'm a Cookie Monster, it refers to the moments of sweetness.
Come on.
I'm gonna take it to another level. It refers to my moments of sweetness. If I'm unable to say anything good, I would embrace a Cookie Monster moment, embracing that moment of sweetness, of moist. Just imagine how a cookie tastes when you have it for the first time, when you are hungry, when your blood sugar level is a bit low, you have a cookie. That is what I refer to, a monster gobbling up that sweet moments, that goodness, that cheer, that joy. And so when people come and they need to draw from me, I'm able to release the sweetness. I'm able to say, it will be okay. It will be all right. I will be able to help you. Don't worry, ma'am. The funeral will be paid for. Don't worry, ma'am. The school fees will be covered. Don't worry, ma'am. The stationery will be delivered to your doorstep. Or don't worry, ma'am. Your documents can be certified or it can be printed. So I know it sounds crazy. How do you link the Cookie Monster to a moment like that? But that is just the craziness I'm I was born in, and I simply enjoy. So I'm a cookie monster.
Come
I'm a
on.
cookie because I also love diversity. I simply
Ah,
love it. I love the caramel cookie. I love the red velvet, and
sure.
all the textures, all that type of people you have to work with, and their attitudes, and their energies, and their hearts, and their mannerisms, and what they bring to the table as professionals, and what they bring to the table as individuals and as families. I simply embrace it. So I'm a cookie monster. I love cookies
Mm,
uh, because that is how I put everything together. And if you look at the cookie, it's a very easy thing to make.
okay.
Very easy thing to make. And as individuals, we don't frown upon cookies. When we see a cookie, we like the color, we like the texture, we like how, okay, it's nice and big, just like individuals in life.
Mm,
Don't judge them. Embrace them for who they are. You have different types of cookies. You have
yeah.
the big ones, you have the small
Hey,
ones, you have the fat ones, you have the, you know, you have the gluten free, you have the vegan
sure.
one, you have this, you have that. So embrace them, take them,
Ah,
and just enjoy them. And if you don't enjoy a cookie,
aye.
ah, Randall,
You know what? I will never look at a cookie the same way. You're going to be getting cookies delivered to your home in the next 24 hours. Come on, you got to
please.
send him. We'll put the address in the description below. Oh no, we won't do that. But no, Ches, thanks so much for sharing. I didn't know that was. I didn't know it was going to be so deep. The cookie experience, man. I need a cookie. You need. Everyone needs a cookie right now.
Everyone needs a cookie.
Now, Cheslyn, I know we've got a few more moments left. I did want to touch on three items. One of the items are, many of the community is watching this interview right now, and some of us are feeling very. There's individuals that are feeling very overwhelmed with their current situation of where they are living right now. Number one, load shedding. Of course, that's something that we all going through. Number two, the crime. Number three, the cost of living. Things are getting very expensive, and we're looking at different options. Cheslyn, some of us are looking at options of immigrating. Should I leave the country? But I don't want to leave because home is home. Home is where the heart is. For the individual that's really in a space of, what do I do? Like, what's one or two things that you can share with us that just comes from your heart to theirs?
That's a difficult one.
Mm,
Simply because we are living in a society that, Randall, if my life is okay, I don't care about the next.
mm,
I get my salary, I have my car, I have my house, I have my kids. Life is perfect. That is the society we are living in. We are living in a society that, perpetuates the comfortability of life. But not everyone is as fortunate and as lucky to have that comfortability. And so
yeah.
my my take on that is really, when we start to live as caring individuals,
Hmm.
as omgee mense, caring, and not caring because it's that time of the month. Um, we now need to give food for the less fortunate.
Hmm.
It must become a lifestyle, man. You know, being a love, just loving people should become a lifestyle. It should not be an order that is granted by a organization and say, for next 30 days you must be nice, you must be
Hmm.
kind. And I think, if we live as caring individuals, stripped of the titles with that we hold within society,
Hmm.
life will become much better. Now, when from where I sit, I see individuals every single day that comes to me with a lot of problems. And I think to myself, if I treat these people from where they come, I I will do an injustice to the God that
Yeah.
created them. And so my view on this is really to live, love, and care. And if we stick to that three values, that three principles, live life, live, love, and care,
Hmm.
life for people in our society will become better, because you will ensure that your neighbor has something to eat. You
Yeah.
will see to the children that need stationery for the new semester. You will you know your family and your friends will not necessarily have to go into debt because they just need to put food on the table.
Hmm.
But if you care, if you call and say, come and have supper by me, without any condition,
Yeah.
I will do your laundry. I will come clean, you know. And if we embrace a life like that, wou
Hmm.
dit omgee, genuinely omgee without having to want something in return, I think the world, our communities, society will be a better place to live in.
It surely will. It really sounds like the phrase of "it takes a village to raise a kid," where, like you mentioned, you do the laundry, I'll do supper. Do you feel like it's missing currently? And I tell you why I ask this question, Cheslyn. Um, living here now in Canada, living in a we don't really see our neighbors very often. It's very much the neighbors do your own thing, and you need to book an appointment to see your neighbor. You know, and you know how it is or used to be when I was back home in South Africa, still back in 2010. You can just go over to your neighbor, ask for a little salt, ask for a little sugar. Um, it's a very carefree, a very communal based way of thinking. Whenever I come back now to South Africa, I find that slowly but surely the first world mentality is currently creeping in.
Mm.
Especially in Cape Town, especially with social media. Everyone is now an influencer, and it's ha- do you find that to be the case right now, where it's slowly but surely creeping in, the first world mentality into Cape Town? Or do you still feel like Kensington, Factory still has that community-based vibe to them?
I think it depends where you find yourself in Cape Town,
Hmm.
because within the ward here, we still have that sense of community and the sense of village, the sense of people. On Saturday evening, for example, I I normally drive through the ward, and I came across two street parties in one street, and
Okay.
people were moving between the two parties.
Hmm.
So it was joyous, it was fun, and people were just enjoying themselves. Even on Eid, you have across
Yes.
um, Christians enjoying some meals in Muslim homes. During Ramadan, we had the mass iftar, the buka,
Hmm.
and a lot of Christians also enjoyed the meals there, when they broke their fast, when the Muslims broke their fast. So that it really depends where you find yourself within the city. In some communities, of course, the first world ideas of having to, leave me. I'm in a gated community, and if you come too close, we will call ADT, or Chubb is
Aye.
around the corner, that type of thing. And
Hmm.
there's motion sensors, and if you come too close, it will go off, and
Ish.
um, yeah, we still have the sense of family. But I think it's really to do with its leaders as well. If our leaders lead with love and care, you know, and that openness of family and being that united type of community,
Mhm.
then I think the community that we are living in will reflect that. But if our leaders, to a certain extent, our leaders just do your thing, go home, lock up, and don't care about the world. If that is their attitude as well, then it is reflective on the community, on the people that they lead. You
So
get what
true.
I'm saying? And I've seen it in some organizations, that and I'm fortunate to have served in the community for a very long time. So this reflection is not a bias, a reflection from where I'm sitting now as councillor. At the time, I was on the ground in organizations, so I was able to see what is happening.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you. It's also very encouraging, Cheslyn, to hear that it's still the case of where Ubuntu is still there. There's still that community spirit. And so true. It all starts from leadership. It starts from the top down. Now we've got about 5 more minutes left, Cheslyn, and I'd like to use this time by really asking 2 questions. The first one is, for our young people that is watching this right now, because you are a young person yourself, the age will never be disclosed. It'll be 21 forever. For young people that's watching right now and is aspiring to do something great with their lives, for the fact that you've really taken the mantle of saying, hey, I don't want to be ordinary, I want to be extraordinary. What's a word of encouragement you would have for the young person that's watching right now?
It's a very simple thing.
Hmm.
And I love on 2 things: is choosing life and never forget where you come from. To the young people, I want to say is that choose life. Choose life.
Yeah.
Opt to go study. Work hard. Persevere. And I can assure you that once you have obtained the relevant degree or the relevant qualification, you are able to work even harder to sustain yourself and your family and the home that you are going to create for your loved ones. But more importantly, that which you want to grow, you must not forget where you come from. I was born in a shanty. I don't know if the shanty is there in Canada, Randall, but it is a Wendy house. It's a makeshift structure. And I lived in that with my mom and my brother for 14 years
Sure.
until I moved in with my granny. And when I fight in my ward for proper homes for people, I understand where I understand the fight. Where I come from encourages me to fight even harder. I earlier said about the ablution facilities that the informal settlement don't have, but we have something temporary now for them. I understand, where they come from, and they ask me, councillor, we need help. And so that 2 things, choose life and don't forget where you come from, would really be the 2 principles that would carry us as young people in a time that we need guidance, especially in a world that would want to show us that social media and the influences thereof would want to make us. It will not make us. I can assure you. That is it's a farce. It's a smoke screen. That is how the world wants to gobble us up and keep us busy with everything but progress, everything but life, everything but success and prosperity for us as young people.
So true. Never forgetting perseverance and never forgetting where you come from. It's so hard, Cheslyn, just to be frank with you, it's so hard to for if you've lived in Cape Town, you will never forget the Cape Town experience. A lot of people have said they've traveled the whole world, but Cape Town has come number 1 because of that vibe, the weather, the food, the people, and the experience. And I can really share with you, Ches, like Cape Town will always be number 1. For those that's watching right now, and thank you for that encouragement. Very lastly, Cheslyn, for those that's watching from Kensington, from Factoryton, from Cape Town, from South Africa right now, any last words you have for our people from back home?
In Afrikaans gaan we say hou moed. English you will say keep the faith. Keep the faith. Rome was not built in one day.
Yeah.
And I know that we are all aspiring for a successful life and a peaceful life and a good life. But I want to encourage you that keep the faith.
Yeah.
And if we keep the faith and we hold on to the promise that God made to each one of us when we were in our mother's womb, saying to us, the plans that God has for you, for me, for us, is prosperous plans for a hopeful future. And the Lord will never go back on his word. In fact, I want to encourage everyone listening tonight to say, I don't know in what valley you are in. It might be a valley of death. It might be a valley of sickness, a valley of depression, anxiety. There's a whole host of things that you can find yourself in. But I want to tell you that the faith is the most important thing that we can hold on to, besides the promise of the love of God and the grace of God, but the peace of God. And so keep the faith. And I'm sure that, one day when we meet up, we are able to say to one another, I heard you and I've kept the faith and I've persevered. And for me, that is important.
Look at that. Come on. Keep the faith. En Afrikaans sê ons hou moed. Cheslyn, it's been a pleasure. Before we go, I have to ask you this one question that may just knock you off your feet, but I have to do it. What's your all-time favorite Manchester United stat that you would give to a hater that is hating on you right now? What's that one stat that you will say just to knock them and quiet them up?
I can tell you that I am converting to Arsenal. And so I am not wanting to upset my voters.
True.
So I will rather repeat, keep the faith. Randall, you are not going to make me lose voters.
Keep the peace.
Yeah. I will say keep the faith.
I hear you. Cheslyn, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. I wish you all the best with your success. I know you guys had a meeting, I think it was last week, in my same neighborhood, Kensington Liberator Street, where I was born. Yes. And I'm so proud to be able to chat with you today. Look, I'm not sure what your experience was, but I'm sure we are really uplifted. Remember that we are not here just to survive. We are here to thrive. And if there's nothing else, Cheslyn, I wish you all the best, eh?
Thank you very much, and God bless. Keep well.
God bless you too, Ches.